court square's just a set of streets that people go around, but they seldom think about the little man that built this town before the big money shut him down and killed the little man.
Hey, security, can I borrow that jacket for a minute? Thanks, man.
Good evening. I am Barry Irving with Cable, and I'd like to welcome you here tonight to the 2016 Who is a Millionaire U.S. Senate debate. Now, according to the courts, although not approved by the public, we have divided the number of candidates into two different categories. On one hand, we have the 5 big boys that basically have all the money, and then you have the other group, which we call the poor boys. Now, I know what you're thinking, but let's face it, money normally wins every time. My point, if you had to choose between go and get a steak at Ruth Chris Steakhouse or go and get a shrimp po' boy from Po' Boy Lloyd's, I know which one you would pick. Yes, I hear the sizzling filet coming out now. Having said that, I want to go ahead and introduce our sponsor, better known as the lady with the state credit card, Miss Beth Courtney, who is going to be footing the bill for this debate tonight, thanks to you, the taxpayers of Louisiana. But before we do, let me give notice to another one of our corporate sponsors tonight, especially for these 5 big politicians. It's the Bank of Louisiana, who specializes in campaign funding. Beth, to you.
Thank you, Barry. My name is Beth Courtney. I am the director of the Louisiana Public Broadcasting, LPB. I'd first like to thank the 300 people across the state that watch us, and I'd like to make an announcement tonight. Because of this $1 million debate, we have decided to change our name from LPB to CNN, the Cash News Network. We just feel that it is more reflective of what we're doing now with your tax dollars at LPB. Now, I want to begin by setting the ground rules for tonight. We certainly, like you, do not trust these 5 politicians that we have here tonight, so we're going to make sure that they provide us with the $1 million before we allow them to pontificate on the air across this state. Now, having said that, we all know about the budget cuts going on in the state of Louisiana. So the reason we are limited this debate to 90 minutes is because the only camera we have left is this one. And we only have 2 rolls of film. So we're going to have to... Barry, would you see who's at the door, please?
Hi, I'm Troy Hebert. I'm an independent candidate for the U.S. Senate, and I'm over here for the debate.
Well, Beth, it's that funny talking Senate candidate Troy Hebert at the door. You know, the one that our high-powered lawyers whooped up on court last week. Well, Mr. Hebert, you know the rules. You need $1 million. Do you have it?
How much? $1 million? Huh. Do y'all have any installment plans?
What can we do for you, Mr. Hebert? Did you bring the money?
Okay, I'm leaving. Don't push me, I'm leaving. How about an IOU? Would y'all take an IOU? Okay, I'm gone.
That boy just don't give up, will he? Nonetheless, we have to get started with this debate. Now, because this debate is being funded by $50,000 of the taxpayers' money, Beth and I wanted to make sure that we represented the breadth cross-section of people across the state. All walks of life, all race, and everything else that makes up this great state of Louisiana. And so what we've come up with tonight is we actually have 2 doctors here tonight. And those 2 doctors are committed to representing the 0.5% of the population of Louisiana who are doctors. And I can tell you this, they'll do a good job of it. Then we have 2 lawyers. Them 2 lawyers who are committed to representing the 1% of the population of this state.
Now, is that a typo? I thought lawyers made up 50% of the population of Louisiana, but I may be mistaken. It might just be the billboards and the commercials that are throwing me off. Nonetheless, those two lawyers wanted me and Beth to ensure to you that not only will they represent you in Washington, D.C., but they will also represent you if you are injured, if you are hurt, and they'll really represent you if it was done by an 18-wheeler. Back in South Louisiana, I think they call that line yellow. Now, when it comes to the fifth person, this individual says that he is endorsed by Governor John Bell Edwards. Now, he says that he will do a great job in representing the 0.5% of the population who actually found oil on their property like he did. Kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies. And then he's also committed, because of his long-term service to the state of Louisiana and government, he'll also represent the 1% of the population who has been on the government payroll for nearly 30 years. Now, you may be saying, now, Mr. Irwin, that only makes up 3% of the population of Louisiana. What about the other 97%? Well, I'll tell you what we have done. We have actually got these 5 candidates to commit. If one of them would win, they have committed to forming a committee of 100 working people across this state. And when an issue that was important to them would come up, they would talk to this committee. And then they would find out what that committee wants. And then they would go check with their big money contributors and the special interests in Washington. And if there was no conflict between those two, and it wasn't going against the special interests, all that big money contributors, every one of them committed that they would take a good, hard, long look at supporting the little man or the little woman. Now, some of you out there might be saying, well, Barry, we don't see no brothers or sisters on this here debate. Well, we've also fixed that up for you. We got each one of those candidates, who happen to be white, to sign a sworn affidavit. Each and every one of them committed that some of their best friends have been black. And I rest assured, I'm sure that you feel comfortable with this. Now, having said that, let's move on to the next portion of this debate. Beth, to you.
Well, this first segment is called Show Me the Money. This is the time where we will allow each candidate to come and present their $1 million to us in order to qualify to be in this wonderful debate. Now, we will accept cash, we will accept checks, and as you can see, we honor American Express, Visa, and MasterCard. Unfortunately, we do not accept Discover cards at this time. But nonetheless, we understand that those candidates who are bought and paid for, I apologize, not bought and paid for, those who have brought money that they have raised from the special interests will certainly be accepted. Now, those candidates who are just wealthy, they can actually write themselves a check from their own money to the campaign, in which it will be perfectly legal, and I'm sure they will all do it. They will have a fundraiser the night after they win and pay themselves back with interest. Well, Mr. Bustani, you are up next. Barry, that is Troy Hebert again. Just let him stay at the door. He is not coming to this debate.
Well, first of all, it is Dr. Bustani. But let me begin by saying this, Courtney, that it is a pleasure for me to attend tonight's function so that the rest of the state will be able to hear me talk. For I'm a very, very distinguished individual. I am not only a congressman, but I have been a thoracic surgeon for the last 30 years. And with me, I have actually something to present to you that will prove that I am probably more qualified than anybody else in the state, or possibly the nation, to run for this seat.
What
is a certificate that authenticates that I have attended 30 plus years of schooling to become as brilliant and smart as I am. It should in itself prove to you that as a physician, in particular a brilliant physician and surgeon such as I, may not only just be a millionaire, there's a very good possibility that I may be a billionaire.
That may be true, but you need to show us the money.
Well then, it is appalling that that certificate is not going to suffice for your criteria. But nonetheless, I may have the money right here on me. Let me check and see. Do y'all take $1,000 bills? Oh, these little hundreds are so pesky and so bothersome. Let me see. Yes. Yes, I think this would be more than sufficient to cover the expenses. But if you don't mind, let's not share the fact that I gave you money. The last time that I supposedly gave a woman money, Mr. Kennedy happened to make a big issue out of it.
Okay, Mr. Bustani. You are in.
Once again, it is Dr. Bustani.
Okay, our next millionaire tonight is Mr. Foster Campbell. He is a public service commissioner who regulates the utility companies. Mr. Campbell?
Well, hello there, little darling. Let me tell you, out of all the candidates running, I happen to have the most cows out of everybody, all 24. And the second thing I'd like to tell you is I am being supported by Governor John Bell Edwards. Now, I happen to be on the Public Service Commission fighting. Did I tell you I was fighting for the people on the Public Service Commission? And in turn, the people were fighting for me. Now, I happen to have 6 checks in my possession to give you. The first one I have is from Entergy for $100,000. My good friends over there. The second check I have is from AT&T, my other good friends. And then the third check I have is $100,000 from my good friends at Entergy. The fourth check I have is from AT&T. Did I tell you they were my friends too? Then this fifth check I'm very proud of. This fifth check happens to be from Governor John Bell Edwards. Did I tell you he was supporting me? Now, this fifth check, because I didn't raise enough money to qualify for this debate, but this fifth check for $500,000 is from my bank account. Now, I know that those oil companies think that I hate them. I know I tried to run them out of the state when I was a state senator by raising the taxes on them. But I'm going to tell you, after they found oil on my land, they made me rich. Now, I'm still probably going to run them out of town, but I've already gotten my money, and here is $500,000 of that money. Now, you might be asking me why I have a Christmas tie on. Well, Beth, you need to understand something. When they find oil on your land like they found on mine, it is Christmas all year long.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. You are now paid up. Dr. Fleming, you are up next.
Miss Courtney, that is not fair. You have called him Dr. Fleming, and you do not call me Dr. Bustani.
Sorry, Mr. Bustani.
This is retired Colonel Rob Manus. I'm calling for backup over here at this Senate debate. Yes, I know I'm retired, but I'm still a colonel. I said send them.
Hello, Bill. Before we get started, I just want to let you know we have to get rid of Obamacare. Now, maybe if we put our heads together tonight, we might be able to get rid of Obamacare tonight if we work together. But we have to get rid of it. Now, I understand that's for later on in the program. But Beth, I want to tell you something. I am not a highfalutin surgeon like Charles is. But I will tell you this much. I happened to find something almost as good as being a heart surgeon. I own 30 Subway sandwich shops. Most of them in North Louisiana, because people in North Louisiana, despite what you think, they don't care for spicy food too much, but they will eat a Subway sandwich. Now, having said that, I want you to understand something. That I know you probably want a check, but at Subway we deal in cash. So I have brought you the cash money to buy into this debate. Now, I hope that you're going to accept this, because at Subway, we accept cash. Okay, Dr. Fleming, yes, we do take cash. Now you are paid in. And here's your Subway bag. You can take your Subway bag back to North Louisiana. Thank you. Now, next up, we have John Kennedy. Now, just to be clear to our 300 listeners, is that this is not the John Kennedy that was shot when he was president. This is John Kennedy, the state treasurer. He is the John Kennedy, though, that 3 governors and the legislature wish was shot. Mr. Kennedy? Oh, shucks, man. Shucks, man. Let me just be honest with you. I'm not myself tonight. I've been drinking a lot of weed killer. And I'm not myself. But I have to tell you, Beth, I want to begin by saying, it was not me who spread the vicious lies and rumors about prostitutes about Charles Booth. I know they wrote some stories that I did it, but there's no way that I would have went and said that the man paid for prostitutes. Especially to say that he paid for 4. I don't know that he paid for 4. He might have paid for 10. He might have paid for 20. That's why I would rather not say anything. I'd rather not call attention to these vicious lies, vicious rumors that just might not be true about Mr. Boustany. Now, they might be true, though. My point is I don't know that. I don't know that. And all this weed kill I've been drinking has kind of got me off my game a little bit. I'm dropping down the polls, but that's okay. That's okay. Because as soon as these vicious lies and rumors about Mr. Boustany succeed, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. Now, let me just tell you, I've got the answers, but I know we're not at that segment yet. But I want to tell you, I have the solutions. But before we get into that part, I tell you that this weed killer stuff now. That weed killer hurt a man. Nonetheless, Beth, this is my check to buy into this debate tonight. $1 million.
Once again, it is Dr. Boustany.
Mr. Kennedy, we are sorry, but this check is written from the state of Louisiana using state taxpayer dollars. We cannot accept that. Now, Beth, I know this check was written from the state checking account. I am the state treasurer. I'm the only person in the state of Louisiana that can sign a state check. So therefore, this check is good. This check is good. Now, I understand it's not right. But listen, Beth, between you and I, just between you and I've never done something bad like this before. Of course, if you don't count the time that I rented $300,000 worth of office space from one of my big, should I say, real big supporters. Other than that, I have been a model of how you should conduct yourself as a state official. Now, what gets me is I just do one thing wrong. I mean, I'm sorry, now that I've done two things wrong that they find out, they want to get on me. Thing is though, Belle, look at all the bad things that Bobby Jindal did as governor. I tried and tried to tell the legislature about Bobby Jindal. No, they wouldn't listen. Now we got Governor John Bell Edwards. You think that he'd be better, Belle? You think that he'd listen to my advice that I was trying to give Lil Bobby? But no, he comes in here. Now he's doing things wrong. Of course, as job of the treasurer, I have to tell the legislature what the governor is doing wrong and try to work with them. But Beth, they just don't listen to me. As hard as I try, as much as I tell those legislators, I got the answers. Follow me. But they don't. No, they just don't. And it bothers me, Beth. It bothers me. But nonetheless, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead. I'll tear up this check. And I will write you a check from the John Kennedy State Campaign Fund. Now, I know you're going to say that's illegal, but let me tell you what I've done. You see, because I'm smart, man, I am Ivy League educated. And I understand as a treasurer how you can move money from one account to another. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a check from $1 million from my state account. I'm going to then write it to my super PAC. Pardon me, I didn't mean to say my super PAC, because you're really not supposed to own your super PAC. But I have to say that, between you and I, of course, that I'm the only one that ever gave money to my super PAC, so it's kind of like it's just mine. So what I'll do is I'll write you a check for $1 million from my super PAC that I deposited from my state campaign fund. Therefore, we ought to be good. I should be able to buy into this debate with no problem. See, that's the thing about me. I am solution-oriented. You give me a problem, I will give you a solution. In fact, if you don't give me a problem, I'll give you 2 solutions. And you know what's good? And the governors don't listen to me, and the legislators don't listen to me. But boy, the press sure does.
Okay, Mr. Kennedy, that's all so complicated, I don't even understand it. Nobody understands this, but I guess we'll accept it. So you have been paid into the debate. Now, next up is Miss Caroline Fayard. Her daddy happens to be a super mega trial lawyer. Miss Fayard? Well, hello everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight. Here is my check to buy into the debate. But Miss Fayard, this $1 million check is written from your daddy. Well, of course this check is from my father. The last time I ran for lieutenant governor, he gave me $1 million, and no one seemed to have a problem with it back then. Besides, this time, this is actually my own money. I simply got my father to advance my next 2 months' allowance. Well, Miss Fayard, you are paid up also. You are one lucky little girl.
If you thought this video was funny, or you thought it wasn't funny, then don't give your vote to one of these candidates. Tell these candidates that are trying to buy your vote that you want to have an election on November 8th and not an auction. If you're sick and tired of people going to Washington, D.C. and representing themselves and special interests, then send these candidates a message. Tell them you got enough. Tell them that you have enough of big money trying to buy your vote and control the election outcomes in this country. I want you to think about what's going on. The politicians that we have sent to Washington has let us down. It's time that we change who we send. If you want to make a difference, then I ask you to join the movement that we have. It's not about Hebert. This is about you. It's about Louisiana. It's about America. I'm not saying you have to vote for me. There's 19 other candidates you can choose from. I'm simply telling you that if you send one of these 5 people to Washington, you're going to continue getting the same thing you've been getting, which is nothing. If you agree with what I'm telling you, please share this video with other people. And thank you for your time.